Good day everyone. In this video, we conducted an interview for our subject, Teacher's Philosophy of Education, together with Miss Sheena Faith Tudaya. So our interviewee is Miss Crizelle Jane Pesquera, a 23-year-old BS Ed General Science graduate from Cebu Normal University. She is currently teaching junior and senior high school science at Divine Life Institute of Cebu Incorporated, handling Science 7, Earth and Life Science, Disaster Readiness and Risk Reduction, and Physical Science, with 2 years of teaching experience. We asked for her permission to be interviewed, sent her questions through Messenger, and receive her answers via voice messages. We have her full consent to share her responses in this presentation. Without further ado, let's get started. So, in this presentation, we have the interview questions and responses, the analysis of the responses, the conclusion. So, Ms. Udaya will present to you the questions and the responses given by Ms. Crizelle Jane Pesquera.
So for question number 1, when you plan your lessons, what do you consider as the most important thing for students to learn? And the teacher said that when planning lessons, she always anchors them on the curriculum guide and the required learning competencies. Together with her co-teachers, she creates objectives that serve as a guide in checking whether students have truly achieved the competencies. For her, this ensures that lessons remain targeted and effective. For question number 2, do you prefer giving more structured content for mastery, or do you allow flexibility on depending on students' needs? She shared that teaching science requires both structure and flexibility, while some topics demand uniformity and structure. She also adapts to the needs for her students. For instance, if a class falls behind, she provides supplementary materials to help them catch up. In her view, a teacher must be adaptive to both students and the environment. For question number 3, how do you usually engage your students during class through lectures, activities, discussions, or other approaches? To keep her students engaged, she said that since many of her students find science boring, she uses a variety of strategies. This includes debates, quick questioning activities, and visual aids, such as YouTube videos. She emphasized that interactive lessons not only capture interest but also help students learn while having fun. For question number 4, when introducing a new topic, how do you usually connect it with what your students already know? She said that when introducing a new topic, she makes it a point to connect the lessons to what students already know. She uses pictures, videos, or activities to draw out their prior knowledge, which allow her to assess their background and link it with the new content. For her, this makes learning more meaningful and relatable. For question number 5, what role does language, whether English, Filipino, or mother tongue, play in how you teach and how your students learn? According to her, language plays a crucial role in her teaching since science involves complex terms. She primarily uses English but also shifts to Visaya or Cebuano when clarifying concepts. In junior high, she balances English with the mother tongue explanations, while in senior high, she still integrates Cebuano when needed. She also considers the presence of foreign students in her class, adjusting her explanations so everyone can understand. And now let's proceed to the question number 6. What strategies do you use to keep your students motivated and disciplined in class? According to her, to keep her students motivated, she uses reward systems such as giving additional points for early submissions and deductions for late ones. For discipline, she follows routines like arranging chairs and maintaining silence before starting the class. She also sets three main rules at the beginning of the year: be respectful, be responsible, and be participative. Whenever issues arise, she simply reminds students of these values. For question number 7, aside from academics, what values or life lessons do you make sure to include in your teaching? She believes in teaching not only academics but also life lessons. She shares personal experiences about college, scholarships, and good universities. She also integrates the school's core values: fair action, integrity, responsibility, resiliency, and excellence into her lessons. For her, teaching is not limited to academics. It also means being a mentor, supporter, and sometimes even a counselor for her students. Proceed to the number 8. How much freedom do you give students to express themselves or choose how they learn? She said that although she known as a strict teacher, she still gives students freedom within clear boundaries. For instance, she allows them to choose between two deadlines or to present their outputs creatively through poems, songs, or digital art. She believes in multiple intelligences and encourages students to express their learning in ways that match their strengths. For question number 9, do you think students should study more timeless knowledge and ideas or focus on modern and practical topics for their future? According to her, students should focus more on modern and practical topics since the world is fast changing, while timeless knowledge is important as a foundation. She believes lessons should remain relevant to current context. She avoids relying only on traditional methods, instead using digital platforms like Canva and videos. She even encourages responsible use of AI tools to help students prepare for future careers. And for the last question, if you were to describe your teaching style or belief in one sentence, how would you put it? Finally, she described herself as a student-centered teacher. She always considers whether students are truly learning and remains open to the request as long as they respect her boundaries. Inspired by her own high school science teacher, she strives to build positive connections with her students. For her, being student-centered allows students to feel valued while still maintaining discipline and respect in the classroom. So, from the teacher's responses, it is clear that her teaching style is a blend of different philosophies of education. Her approach highlights flexibility, balance, and a strong student-centered philosophy that adapts both to the needs of learners and the demands of the modern world. And now, we will proceed to the analysis of the teacher's responses, to be led by Ms. Lestador.
Thank you, Ms. Udaya. So, we'll start with essentialism. So, for question 1 and question 2, the teacher anchors lesson planning on the curriculum guide and competencies. She values mastery of structured content, though with flexibility. She bases lesson planning on the curriculum guide and competencies and emphasizes mastery of structured content. Essentialism is about teaching the core knowledge and skills students need to function effectively in society. So, by focusing on the curriculum and structured mastery, she knows the essentialist view that some knowledge is fundamental and should be prioritized. For questions 3 and question 4 and question 9 is progressivism. She uses interactive strategies like debates, activities, and videos. She connects lessons to students' prior knowledge to make learning meaningful. She emphasizes modern practical topics and tools like AI and Canva. She uses interactive strategies like debates, activities. We'll now proceed with the analysis of the questions. First is essentialism. The teacher anchors lesson planning on the curriculum guide and competencies. She values mastery of structured content, though with flexibility. She bases lesson planning on the curriculum guide and competencies and emphasizes mastery of structured content. Essentialism is about teaching the core knowledge and skills students need to function effectively in society. By focusing on the curriculum and structured mastery, she shows the essentialist view that some knowledge is fundamental and should be prioritized. For progressivism, for question 3 and question 4 and question 9, she uses interactive strategies like debates, activities, videos, and connects lessons to students' prior knowledge, and includes modern tools and topics like AR or Canva. So progressivism values learning by doing, relevance, and adapting education to students' lives. Her practices highlights learning experiences and practical application which are core to progressivism. Next is constructivism for question 4 and question 8. She relates new topics to what students already know and gives them freedom to express themselves in multiple formats. Constructivism holds that learners actively build their own understanding. By tapping into prior knowledge and allowing varied outputs, she lets students co-construct meaning rather than passively receive it. Next is existentialism. She encourages students to express themselves, recognizes multiple intelligence, and values personal growth, mentorship, and well-being. So existentialism emphasizes individual choice, self-awareness, and authenticity. By prioritizing students' uniqueness and freedom, she aligns this with this philosophy. Next is perennialism for question 9. Perennialism emphasizes timeless truth, great works, and universal principles. The teacher, however, favors modern topics over timeless knowledge. So this means perennialism is not dominant in her approach. Next is behaviorism. She uses rewards or extra points and punishments or deductions and maintain routines and rules. Behaviorism focuses on observable behavior changes through reinforcement and discipline. Her methods show this kind of conditioning. Lastly is linguistic philosophy. For question 5, she adjusts her language depending on context. English for science, Bisaya for clarity, and adaptations for foreign students. So linguistic philosophy emphasizes that language shapes meaning and learning. So by modifying language for comprehension, she shows an awareness of its role in learning. So the teacher does not strictly follow one philosophy, instead she blends several.
And now for conclusion. Based on her responses, the teacher does not strictly follow one philosophy, but instead integrates multiple philosophies to fit her students' needs. However, progressivism, constructivism, and existentialism stand out the most because she prioritizes student-centered learning, real-life application, and individual expression. Perennialism, on the other hand, is the least evident since she favors modern and practical topics over timeless ideas. The teacher can be considered eclectic because she blends different philosophies instead of relying on only one, while her dominant approaches reflect progressivism, constructivism, and existentialism. She also incorporates elements of essentialism, behaviorism, and linguistic philosophy. This combination shows her belief in adapting the students' needs, fostering active learning, and preparing learners for a modern and rapidly changing world. To end, this interview shows us that teachers today don't just rely on one philosophy of education. Instead, they blend different approaches to respond to their students' needs. This reminds us that good teaching is not only about delivering lessons, but also about guiding, supporting, and preparing learners for the real world. Thank you, and that concludes our presentation.